Well, happy April. I'm joining you here before it starts snowing in the middle of the springtime, and I thought I'd share with you some country knowledge. You know, look around right now and things are pretty hard. A lot of people are worrying about the future and trying to make ends meet. And I'm out here with 100 tomato plants ready to plant, and we are not there yet. It's pretty cool and rainy and going to snow tomorrow evening. So I thought I'd take a minute here just to go over a couple good things, some knowledge that might be nice to have. I was feeling a bit nostalgic today at the end of the work week. Came home and was just tired of sitting in front of a computer. So now I'm sitting in front of a phone. But I wanted some country food this weekend, and I wanted to reminisce about some country memories. So I've got three things I want to share with you. The first is my mom's pinto bean recipe. The second is a story from Ozark Magic and Folklore. And the third is a sourdough starter recipe from Kent Rollins, who I think should be the official Oklahoma cultural ambassador. So all of this takes me back to life on the farm, right? Which is something I think about fondly, living in the middle of the city. So let's start with pinto beans. Now, my mom was a heck of a bean cook. She didn't specialize in cooking a whole lot of things, but she made a mean pot of beans, and it was simple, straightforward, and cheap to feed people with. I think pinto beans, by and large, are the country standard, and she always insisted on casserole brand. Now, do I know if they're any better? I don't, but we're not going to question Mama on that one, all right? So if you're going to make a pot of pinto beans, here's what she did. She took 2 cups of these beans, and she put those in 6 cups of water, and she boiled them on high for 2 hours, no pre-soaking. And during that 2-hour time, she added 2 cups of water every 30 minutes. And after that 2 hours had elapsed, she turned the burner down to low and simmered them for another 1.5 hours. But in the meantime, she also added all of her spices and seasonings. So 3 pieces of thick cut bacon, pre-cooked, cut up in small bits after that, and then added to the pot a tablespoon of granulated sugar, just your white sugar, 1/4 teaspoon ground black pepper, and I like to actually add a little bit more than that to it, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic salt. And that was essentially it. Those are added after the 2-hour boil. They simmered for another 1.5 hours on low. And then at the end, the secret to this is, she didn't put it in the recipe, she poured a little jalapeno juice in there. And I think that really makes a difference as well. So that is a pretty easy way to get a heck of a good meal from a pot of beans. I'm serving this with ham steak tomorrow, but I recognize there are times people can't afford ham steak to go with it. So a little bit of bacon goes a long ways in a pot of pinto beans. I thought about Mama, and then I thought about Dad, and I was reading this book. I ordered this from A Books. This is Vance Randolph's Ozark Magic and Folklore from 1946, and many of the stories were collected as early as 1927. And this copy, interestingly, came enough from the Magnolia, Arkansas Library. So someone may have actually checked this out there before. But I wanted to read really quickly on water witching, which is using an instrument like a forked stick to find underground water so that someone can drill a well there. And my old man is an expert at water witching, and all over our country, he's helped a lot of people find sources of water, and I didn't think that there was any to be found in the first place. So without further ado, let me read this to you real quick. This is chapter 5, Water Witches. Nearly all the old settlers in the Ozark country believed that certain persons could locate underground streams by conjuring round with forked sticks. These characters are called water witches or witch wigglers, and the forked switches they carry are known as witch sticks. Despite this sinister terminology, the water finder has no dealings with the devil, is not regarded as dangerous by his neighbors, and has nothing to do with witchcraft proper. I have known several water witches intimately and have seen more than a score of them at work, and there is no doubt that they themselves are sincere believers in the ability to find water. Nearly all of the really old wells in the Ozarks were located by witch wigglers. Even today, there are many substantial farmers who would never think of drilling a well without getting one of these fellows to witch the land. When I first came to Pineville, Missouri in 1919, Dr. Oakley St. John was the only educated person in the village. He was an outspoken atheist and materialist, and the last man whom one would expect to find involved in any superstitious practice. But the neighbors all told me that Doc was the best witch wiggler in the Ozarks, with the possible exception of old John Harvard, who used to live over in Greene County. So I took to hanging around St. John's little drugstore, and I tried to talk with him about these matters. The doctor parried my questions for a long time, but finally admitted that he had located a large number of wells. I used to laugh at this water witch business, he told me, but I got to fooling with it one day and discovered that I'm a pretty good witch wiggler myself. I can't defend the thing scientifically, but I can find water in these hills. I've never staked a dry hole yet. But how do you do it, doctor? I asked. Well, I just cut me a green fork off a peach tree. Some fellows use witch hazel or redbud, but peach always worked better for me. And take one prong in each hand. Then I walk slowly back and forth, holding the fork in front of me, parallel with the ground. When I cross an underground stream, the witch stick turns in my hands so that the main stem points down towards the water. Then I drive a stake in the ground to mark the place, and that's where I'm going to tell them to dig their well. After a little more talk, we went to an old peach orchard where the doctor trimmed up a nice witch stick. The thing looked very much like a slingshot handle, except it was nearly 3 feet long. Climbing through the fence, we strode out into a big pasture. Thrusting the stick forward, St. John walked across the rocky hillside with me close at his heels. Suddenly he hesitated and then moved forward very slowly, the green switch turning and twisting in his hands. There he stood, holding the thing as if it were a living, writhing reptile. "Look at that," he cackled triumphantly. "I couldn't hold it still if I tried. It would twist the bark right off the blankety-blank stick." I shivered a little and felt as if the hair were rising on the back of my neck. There was something uncanny and obscene about that witch stick. I'm not sure it's uncanny or obscene, but it is peculiar, and I've seen my old man do it a number of times. It mentioned in this text that peach is the best, but I think we've always had the best luck with willow. So if you need to find a well, you know how now. The last thing I wanted to talk about was sourdough. Now, sourdough today is like in vogue, and there's so many steps to it, and the nurturing of the starter is a job in and of itself. But Kent Rollins has a quick sourdough starter that I like, and I've used pretty extensively. It's great for biscuits, pancake batter, bread, whatever. So his is real simple. You get a stone crock like this. This is a gallon, 4 cups of warm water, and a packet of dry yeast. You whisk those together. When they're incorporated, you add 5 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and then 4 cups of flour, and it makes it about the consistency of pancake batter. So that's your starter, and then you take a large peeled russet potato, stick down in there, and that'll continue to feed the starter. You can also feed it with additional flour every couple days, but it'll last about a week, and sure enough makes a good biscuit. So I hope you've enjoyed that, a little bit of country knowledge, and if it looks like things are pretty rough, seek the Lord and go back to your roots and find something that you enjoy. Thanks. I appreciate it.